right, everybody. What's up? What's up? What's up? This is the Spill Basketball Show. I am your host, Azlan Williams. And man, we got a very special guest today. We got actor Ser'Darius Blain in the house. How you doing today, Ser'Darius?
Feeling good, feeling great. How you doing, brother?
Oh man, doing good, doing good. Again, man, I appreciate you joining the show today. I just a quick backstory, y'all. I met Ser'Darius randomly in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I was going down there to look for a place, and I was at the hotel across the street, and I was watching Jumanji. And so I was watching Jumanji. Then I was like, I'm hungry, Mom. Let's go get some food. And we walk in. We're sitting there waiting for a table, and then Ser'Darius walks in. And I'm like, Mom, isn't that the dude from Jumanji? And so I just walked over. I was like, hey, are you Ser'Darius Blain? He's like, yeah, I am. So that's how we got connected back in, I think it was 2021. Yeah, 2021. So, man, that time flies by. We're 2025 now. It's going by fast. But this is actor Ser'Darius Blain. How you doing today, man?
Feeling good. I'm feeling good, man. I funny enough, ran into you at that Carrabba's. Carrabba's was my first job when I was like 16 in Florida. But as a kid, I lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and so I was there visiting my godmother and my auntie, and took my mom there as a surprise. So you met me on Family Day, but that was really cool connecting with you that day, man.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And I appreciate your kindness and welcomeness. Just
Cool.
like some random dude just walking up to you, hey, But I appreciate you. But I was talking to Ser'Darius, and he kind of just noticed that he's like, man, you tall. He looked at my mom's like, your mom's a hooper, wasn't she? And so I know he has a lot of background as far as basketball is concerned. I know he's a huge fan with the game, so I just reached out to him and was just like, hey, man, would you mind being on the show today? And he accepted. So again, man, I appreciate you so much, and just gonna chop it up about the game today.
Yes, sir. Let's get it.
Get it. So before we get started, first of all, we had a major icon in the game of basketball. His birthday was yesterday, but today, 8/24, remembering Kobe Bryant Day. So Darius, I just want to ask you a few questions, man. What impact did Kobe have on you as a fan, as an athlete? Just what did Kobe Bryant mean to you?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a '90s kid, right? That's when I grew up, and in 1996 when Kobe Bryant courtside, came out and he got drafted to the Lakers and everything, youngest player to get drafted at the time. He was a huge figure, huge icon. Honestly, whether he played a day or not, because at that time it was very rare for high schoolers to be drafted into the NBA. But you saw the bright flashes early on in the first 2 years when he did get playtime. He just stood out. He tall, handsome kid, could handle the rock, could shoot the rock, could drive the rock and everything like that. And those were the developmental years where I first started playing basketball. I was, 9, 10 years old, 11 years old, those years. And then, once Kobe became the full-time starter, he really influenced a lot of our game. You know what I mean? You started seeing the sort of the second coming of Michael Jordan, who had left sort of a void. He was ending his career at that point. So it was like cool to see somebody come in and take the torch. But Kobe Bryant, man, I mean, he is iconic. He was actually a player I loved to hate because I'm from Florida. So I was, Miami Heat and Orlando Magic all day long. And so seeing this guy, Tracy McGrady was like one of my favorite players at the time. And I kept trying to justify that T-Mac was just as good as Kobe. And it just was never true. You knew that. He torched everybody's favorite player. And then when he became the Black Mamba, that was a whole different echelon of his career. You saw the true assassin come out of him. He's, in my opinion, the greatest skilled player of all time. He's the most skilled, with Kyrie being like a second. But I don't know which Kobe was better, number 8 Kobe or number 24. They both were iconic in their own ways.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. And if you look at the stats, when you put them side to side, 8 and 24, they're almost identical, which is crazy. But, I agree with you. I was kind of a 90s kid myself. I was young when I was a 90s kid. So I was, growing up on the end of Michael Jordan, coming into that Kobe era, just like you. T-Mac was my favorite player. Like Tracy McGrady was my favorite player. And so To see those matchups between Tracy and Kobe were just definitely iconic. And even though Kobe did say that the hardest player to guard, like his toughest matchup, was always Tracy McGrady.
Yeah.
And so, for me, as I started playing, I started trying to mimic my game like Kobe's a lot, like the post up and the 1-2 pump fake and then spin back off the opposite foot. I try
Yeah.
those things, and like you said, I can agree with you as far as skill is concerned, footwork, knowing how to use your body to get the bucket in, get the bucket off, whatever it might be. I agree with you, and even that Kyrie thing, I agree with you on that too. So for me, Kobe was definitely just the epitome of resilience, the epitome of hard work, the epitome of being him. if you put it that way, it didn't matter who was on the court, he's going to come at you regardless. And so I just remember I'm a Nuggets fan, so being
Oh
from
yeah.
being from Denver,
Sorry,
Colorado.
guys.
Hey, man, we went through some hard years, and dealing with
Every
Kobe.
time y'all got right there, I was like, hey, "This is the Nuggets here." It's funny because I really like the Nuggets too. The Melo
Yeah,
was one of my favorite players, and then when Kenny Martin came over there, and
right.
Marcus Camby and all them, y'all had a nice squad. I was like, okay, this is finally a team that can take out the Lakers. But hey, man, sheer will over there, sheer will in the yellow and gold, man.
Exactly, absolutely. And then when we got Chauncey, I was like, oh, this is a championship for sure. And we
Hmm.
still lost to Kobe and them in the Western Conference Finals. So, it was a hard time in Denver. And the funny thing about Denver fans is, over the last few seasons, we've had the Lakers number. And so now they think like we're just on top. I'm like, look, and we still only got the Lakers twice out of the whole entirety of the history of the league. They
Right,
got a 7-0 in the playoffs
right.
until the last few seasons. So, but Kobe I just remember the day that he passed, and it was,
That's
oh
what started all this BS, man. I keep telling people the day Kobe died is
man,
when the whole world like changed, man. If you
yeah,
think about it, this was February of 2020, and like 3 weeks later is when COVID had hit and stock
mhm,
market crashed, and
yeah,
I feel like all the terribleness sort of rolled in right after that. It's one of the greatest travesties
mhm,
I think in world history. It's one of the saddest things that's ever happened. And again, not to make ourselves overly important, but Kobe
right,
was a global icon. And
yeah,
just as a parent, me, I have an 11-year-old son,
mhm,
and the main thing that you think about when you have a kid is for the first like year and a half, you're like, don't let them die. You know what I mean? Don't let your kid die. You're scared you're gonna roll over on them when you're taking a nap. You're scared something's gonna happen to them in their crib. You don't want them to choke. You're constantly in fear. And once you get past that, you're like, okay, I know how to keep this kid alive, keep
right,
him safe. Now I want to teach them things and yada. And so to watch Kobe, in the second phase of his life, become this amazing dad and pour into his girls and stuff like that. Just the mere thought of being in a terrifying, horrific situation like that and having to look at your child and know that you can't really tell them that they're going to be okay in that moment, man, that's horrible. So
yeah,
I remember that day. I'll never forget it. I was driving down La Cienega Boulevard. La Cienega is like one of the biggest streets in LA. It connects a bunch of cities together.
right,
And we were actually going to, I want to say we were like going to watch a game at a bar, like this bar called the Belmont. And I was driving and it popped up on my phone. Kobe Bryant just died on Instagram. I was like, there's no way.
right,
And so I was talking to my friend who was riding with me, and I said, there's no way. I said, did you see this? She was like, yeah, I saw it too. I said, it's not real until TMZ says it. TMZ popped up and it said Kobe Bryant died. We
yeah,
looked at each other and we froze. We were at a red light. Red light turned green. We put our car in park, and every car around us did as well. It was probably about 40, 50 cars around us. Everybody
right,
put their cars in park and got out of the car in the middle of this like freeway, basically.
man,
Um, and everybody's like, "Is it true? Is it true?" And you just saw random strangers like consoling each other, hugging each other from like car to car.
right,
It was crazy. It felt really surreal. So 30 minutes later, we ended up going to this bar, and it was just somber, the entire bar. I mean, LA is a Lakers town.
Yeah,
You know, I'm
absolutely.
going to venture out and say that Kobe is probably the greatest Laker of all time because he was a lifer. You know,
Mhm.
he played over 20 years here, or for what, almost 20 years here.
Yeah,
Uh, from the time he was a teenager, and so he's 17 years old. Um, but that was a crushing day, and I think about it every day in a real weird way. Kobe Bryant crosses my mind every day
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
because of that. Just as a dad, as a basketball fan, and honestly, as an entrepreneur too. He was all of those things, and so to I really think that his death really sparked all of this stuff. So us
yeah,
hearing that he was dead was already heartbreaking, and then people started reporting that Gigi was with him, and it was like,
yeah,
oh man, come on, man,
yeah.
it imploded the world.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. It was in, I'm not a father yet, but that thought is just like you said, what do you tell your kid in that moment? It's just like, dang, I can't say it's gonna be okay. And that was my thought process behind the whole thing. Like, did they know? Like, as was the helicopter going down? Was it an instant impact where they didn't know, whatever it might have been. Just to have your daughter in that moment, it was tough. And I just remember I was playing in a, rec league that Sunday, and I just feel like I couldn't breathe. Like, I'm trying to run up and down the court, and I'm like, man, like this is terrible. It was so but with that, and I'm glad you brought that story up because I was gonna ask you, were you in LA at that time? What was the vibe around that time? But thank you for sharing that. But Kobe Bryant, great man, did so much not only just for the game of basketball, but like you said, a global icon overseas, in the United States, whatever it might have been. But we just want to say shout out to Kobe Bryant, remembering you today. Happy birthday. Your birthday was yesterday, but to the family and everything, we just want to say we recognize Kobe Bryant, remember him, and we thank you for everything that you not only gave us for the game of basketball, but in life as well. So we just want to say appreciate you, Kobe.
Man, shout out to Kobe.
Yes, sir. All
Yeah.
right, man. Let's hop into these topics. All right, man. So there's a lot of movement that happened in this off season. A lot of movement.
It
And so
is.
I want to ask you, who do you think made the biggest splash in this off season?
All right. You're not going to agree with me, but I don't care. I'm sticking to it. First of all,
Okay.
there's not a lot of really big moves that were made in the offseason.
Mhm.
So I think that's noteworthy.
Okay.
Uh, my biggest splash in the offseason is actually the Los Angeles Lakers, man. And I'm
Okay.
not a Lakers fan, though I've been in LA for 15 years. I guess I do kind of got to start rooting for the home team. But
You don't have
um,
to. It's okay.
right. Okay. See, I lived in New York. I couldn't go for the Knicks, man. I couldn't root for the Knicks when I was while I was living in New York. It's like, nah, man. I've been sworn to hate y'all my whole life, man. Go Knicks, go Magic. Biggest move in the offseason was the Lakers. Why is that? You get Marcus Smart because these guys needed some exterior defense. They needed perimeter defense. They don't have anybody that guards the three very well. Um, and then they a huge need that they had was also down low, right? So they got DeAndre Ayton. Say whatever you want about DeAndre Ayton, but the dude's going to give you 19 and 8 every night. He alters shots, being 7 feet tall. He's a solid big man. Like, I don't know why people acting like he's not good, but anyway, you got somebody for LeBron. And look at what LeBron did with Zajunas Ilgauskas and Anderson Varejao and stuff like that. Imagine what he's going to do with a big that actually has really good hands and can finish. Marcus Smart has been a dog, perennial defensive player of the year candidate. He won him one. I think that's going to alleviate a lot of pressure from Luka and from Austin Reeves and stuff like that to not have to guard, the best perimeter players and stuff on opposing teams. Like, he's got a motor for days. I think they're shoring up their bench just a little bit. If you remember, the Lakers were like between 3 and 5 in the West all last year, and it's a very, very tough West right now. You got a legit 6 teams that could win it all in the West almost right now. So I think that goes a long way. Luka, had his glow up this summer on top of that, so I think they're going to be firing on all cylinders. But for me, best offseason moves, Lakers hands down.
Gotcha. Yeah, man. And I'll be honest with you, I had completely forgot about that Marcus Smart acquisition, and that's going to be huge for him. And I do like what the moves that the Lakers made. My thing is the bench. They lost some key players that were part of that bench last year, like Dorian Finney-Smith went over to Houston last year. Of course,
Never really
they
looked comfortable in LA to me though, man.
he did until Luka got there, which was weird because they have history playing in Dallas together.
Right.
He was a good three and somewhat D player, for the Lakers. But I just think their bench. I think for honestly, Bronny looked great in the summer league. To me, he looked really good in the summer league. I do think you can maybe give him a little bit more points. Gabe Vincent just hasn't been the same. He's kind of had some injuries, over the last couple of seasons, but he has not been the same since he left Miami. And
Yeah.
so, that backup point guard, I still think there's a void there. DeAndre Ayton's a huge acquisition for the Lakers, simply because a lot of people don't remember this, but a few years in the playoffs when Phoenix made their run to the championship, the person that slowed down Nikola Jokic was DeAndre Ayton. And so, now Jokic is just otherworldly, excuse me. He's otherworldly. Like, he just knows how to figure people out, and he comes back and dominates you. But
100%.
I think that for me, and this might sound a little bit biased because I am a Nuggets fan, but the moves that the Nuggets made this offseason, I think really put them back in championship contention.
Yeah.
Jokic finally has a backup big. Jonas Valanciunas, he can shoot the three. He's maybe not. And I thought out of getting Bruce Brown back, the trade for Cam Johnson, for Michael Porter Jr., and getting Tim Hardaway Jr., I thought the most important piece was getting Jonas Valanciunas locked in and solidified on that team.
Yeah.
Jonas he's a decent post player. He can still pass the ball. He can stretch, and he's a big guard. A lot of the teams in the West are trying to go deep, as we saw OKC do last year with their depth. They could play 11 people in a game, and they did it throughout the entire playoffs.
Yep.
Kendrick Williams. We didn't see him all year. All of a sudden, he's getting time in the finals. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
exactly. And, making an impact on the game. So Denver, and then you look at Houston. Houston last year, they were running that big man.
Talk about that, yeah.
They were running that big man two towers game with Şengün and Steven Adams. Then they just got Capella, so they're big. They're big down there in Houston. But Denver, I think, can match up with that. You bring back Bruce Brown, championship player, Cam Johnson.
I can't believe they ever let him go. But hey, when you win a chip, more money
say,
comes.
Let's not talk about that. That's one of those things where I'm like, this man was at more when
he was their X factor.
Yeah.
He was literally the Swiss Army knife for them. That was kind of crazy to me that they let him go. But I mean, he was playing power forward some games at 6'4".
Exactly. But still making an impact.
100%. And they got a three ball on him. We were like, wait, when did you start shooting threes? I'm a University of Miami fan, so I was like, you've never shot threes before.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say, nobody knew he had that in his repertoire at all until he got to
make big plays, man. But I don't know about the Valanciunas thing because he's not used to coming off the bench. He's used to being the guy. So that's a big mental shift. If you look at the last few years of Russell Westbrook, he hasn't really fared that well because he's not used to coming off the bench. Melo's last few years in the league, he wasn't used to coming off the bench. It's a huge adjustment. Some guys will really embrace that role, and then you get, Jamal Crawford type players and stuff like that. But it's very rare. Chris Paul's not used to not being the primary focus on an offense, and so he struggled these last few years. So I got to see if Valanciunas can really do it. If you get guys to buy into the team versus me sort of mindset, then great. Then Cam is a huge pickup for them. He can shoot the blood out the ball. I love his three ball since he was in Phoenix. I thought they banished him to the Nets, but is what it is. And then what was the other pickup you said you guys had?
Tim Hardaway Jr.
Tim Hardaway Jr. too. I mean, he kind of disappears in the playoffs and big moments for me, but I mean, he's good regular season scorer, give you opportunity to rest up some of your perimeter players and stuff like that too, to be ready for the playoffs. And I don't think Jokic needs much. I mean, he's the best player in the NBA, hands down, in my opinion, because he affects the game in so many ways. Even if he's not scoring, he's giving you 10, 12 assists as well. So y'all got a lot of people to distribute to, and stress-free jump shots is the best jump shot. So, give you opportunity to really spread the ball around.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't think Houston got it though. Just FYI, I don't think that
It's tough. A
Make
lot of people
a
are,
difference for them.
yeah, a lot of I don't see them winning the championship. They're definitely gonna be better because Jalen Green was a no-show in the playoffs last year. So
Yeah,
you have Kevin Durant, been there, done that. So he's gonna at least take up more of that scoring that Jalen Green wasn't providing last year, and Dylan Brooks. But we'll see. Houston. This is the team I want to ask you about because this is on paper.
it was too hard on Jalen Green. I'm just gonna say it. The kid
I,
is
I
23,
agree. I
man. It
think
was his
they
first time
off him
out.
too
Give him
soon.
a chance, but whatever.
Yeah, they off him too soon for sure.
Yeah.
But this is the team I want to ask you about
Mhm.
because they made a lot of moves in this offseason, but their problem is going to be can all of them stay healthy? The other Los Angeles team, the Los Angeles Clippers, man. What do you think they're going to do this year? What's going to happen with the Clippers?
Who cares, man? Who cares? They're the little step brother in LA, man. Nobody cares. Um, First of all, I'm gonna say this. I'm talking trash, but uh, Kawhi Leonard is Michael Jordan when he's healthy, but that's a big asterisk. Is when he's healthy. And I've said this before, and people look at me like I'm crazy. He's Michael Jordan. Yeah, the dude shoots 53% from the field on mid-range jump shots when he is healthy. He is still a lockdown defender when he is healthy. He doesn't really make too many mistakes when he's healthy.
Yeah.
But again, he's missed almost 60% of his career due to injuries.
Yeah.
He hasn't played more than half the time since he's been in LA. So that's tough. Also, the Clippers got rid of one of their best scorers in Norman Powell. That was crazy. I mean, you trade him after a career year, or was he a free
Been an
agent? I'm not sure.
all-star. Should have been
Right,
an all-star last year.
right.
Mhm.
21 points a game. That's crazy. Why would you let that go? Zubac's still balling, so is what it is. Lakers shouldn't have let him go. Is what it is. But
Yeah.
no, the Clippers ain't doing nothing. I mean, they had a nice little run at the end of the year, but I felt like everything had to be firing on all cylinders, even for that to happen, and for the chances, for the stars to align like that again. I don't believe it's happening. I mean, your teams in the West are still, OKC. Somebody got to knock them off, and they're deep, and their average age is 25. Nuggets close second. And then the Lakers right there as well. Dallas wants to make some noise, but I don't think without Kyrie they're going to really be able to do anything.
Yeah.
It's just it's too stacked in the West, man. I don't know that it's happening, bro. I mean, again, Houston is they're still up there. I think Şengün is probably the second best post player in the NBA right now after Jokic. He's up there anyway. He's top three, if not two. So there's a lot to be said, but the Clippers ain't doing nothing, man. There's too much of an asterisk, and I don't think that they received enough to really make noise like that. But hey, broke clock is right twice a day, so you never know.
Yeah, you're right. We'll see what happens with the Clippers do. In the Eastern Conference, is wide open. I think for a few different teams. I think Cleveland's going to be right there. The Knicks, Miami. They got some good pickups. If they can keep Wiggins there, because there have been some trade rumors going on with Wiggins
already.
Yeah, they've
He
been.
didn't even put the jersey on yet, man.
I know, like he barely had it on, right? So we'll see what happens with that. Miami's going to be there just because the culture. They're always going to be right there.
It's a grindhouse. It's a grindhouse.
They're always going to be right there. Detroit, that's the team I'm looking at in the East
Detroit got shafted, man. They won that game too in the playoffs. They should have actually advanced over the Knicks.
Yeah.
But they didn't call that foul on for Tim Hardaway Jr. And I'm surprised they didn't make a bigger deal out of that because that was their game. I mean, he got fouled with 0.4 seconds left at the 3-point line in a tie game.
Yeah.
So that was their game. He was going to make one of them, one out of three. He's one of the best shooters in the league. But here's who my sleeper in the East though. I think Orlando's going to be really good.
I'm not sleeping on Orlando either, especially with that pickup of Desmond Bain. That's yeah.
I've been saying for years. I think Desmond Bain is actually probably the second best player in Memphis, and again, it's a hot take.
Yeah.
I guess, but he's super consistent. The dude defends well. He knocks down the three ball. He's averaging, 19 and 6. At guard. him, Jaren Jackson Jr. and Ja. It was a great trio. But when Ja was out, Desmond Bain carried a lot of that offensive load, and they didn't really miss a beat.
Yeah. And they
So
were actually playing better at one point.
they had a better
Mhm.
record without Ja at a point.
Yeah.
It was
Mhm.
giving Caitlin Clark kind of vibes right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Right.
I'm just saying.
Hey.
But with the pickup of Bain with Wagner and Jalen Suggs, and like that whole team is pretty legit, man. Their
Mhm.
center is good, the power forward position is solid. Like
Yep.
they really got some pieces over there. So I think that Orlando's going to make some moves. I think they'll advance at least one round further than they did, this year. So we'll see
Yeah.
what happens. But the East is wide open. It's sad to see, how Jason Tatum went out.
Mhm.
Um, but shit, in big moments, hopefully we'll see Jaylen Brown step up, and
Yeah.
that team is very, very loaded as
Yeah.
well. So, there's still, I think there's still be a top 3 team in the East as well. But the whole NBA is wide open, man.
Boston's
You
gonna be
literally
a
don't
top
know
three
who's gonna win it.
You think Boston's gonna be a top 3 team?
I still think so because the
Ooh.
East not strong like that, and the difference between number 1 and 5 in the East is like 3 games, dude. Like 3 to 5
Yeah.
games. Honestly, this is probably the most balanced NBA has ever been because it's the same in the West as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think the Pistons. I mean, Cade Cunningham had his coming out party last year. He
Mhm.
is he has accepted the mantle. Sher Thompson too. Him and Amen, they are just impact players. They're
Yeah.
difference makers. They tip those loose balls. They
Mhm.
they slide and get in front of people and make them alter their shots and pass shots off. And so,
Right.
Malik Beasley looked like he knows how to play basketball again. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
got a nice little squad over there. They rebound well, and then Cade is he's just that guy. He really is that guy. So,
Yeah.
but we'll
Absolutely.
see who steps up since they lost Tim Hardaway Jr. You
Mhm.
know,
Well, they just picked up Duncan Robinson, so there's your shooter.
oh, did they? They
Yep,
got
they
Jim
picked up
Robinson.
Duncan Robinson. So I'm like, they're not gonna because Tim Duncan, not Tim Duncan, Tim Hardaway Jr. is a little streaky, or I'm not gonna say a little streaky, a lot
Yeah,
streaky at
yeah,
times. But Duncan Robinson is a better shooter than Tim Hardaway Jr. So
yeah.
that makes up for that. Then Malik Beasley just got cleared of all his stuff, so he'll be back. So those two shooters with Beasley and Duncan in Detroit, that's gonna be interesting for sure.
We'll see. We'll see. Duncan Robinson, you lose too much on the defensive end with him. That's why he wasn't playing in Miami, despite all of the shooting accolades. He's technically a better percentage shooter than Klay Thompson, even. Klay Thompson's the second best shooter,
Yeah,
probably of all time, if not for those injuries. Him and Steph are neck and neck. But
right.
Duncan Robinson gives up too much on the defensive end. And maybe if they
Yeah,
get him in they have a nice defensive scheme over there in Detroit where like everybody really kind of plays together. Kind of
right.
reminds me a little bit of like how Golden State was to
Yeah,
start 10 years ago.
yeah.
But if they can hide him in that defense, then they'll be straight. We'll see.
I hear you. We got a question from the chat real quick. Do you think Russell Westbrook will get picked up?
Man, he had a fiery exit in LA for the
Mhm.
Lakers. So I don't think that looked great in the twilight years of his career. Um, he kind of gave himself a bit of a resurgence playing for the Clippers. So you're like, okay, he can still play. And then he went to Denver. That was just not a good campaign, in my opinion. People personally like Russell Westbrook, and so the fans are going to defend him always. But
Mhm.
the truth of the matter is, he really did lose 3 games for them off of layups. You know what I mean? In pivotal moments, and you know, it determined part of their positioning in the playoffs and everything like that. Home
Yeah,
court advantage. So it's tough. I don't know that he really knows how to be that support player off the bench and like really come in and lead a second unit because I think he still has the same. And again, shout out to Russell Westbrook. Nobody can average a triple double 4 years, of their career. That's insane. He's an all time great. But
yeah,
I think he's always just thought of himself as Batman when he didn't realize it. I think he was one of the greatest Robins of all time. He could have been. And they
yeah,
should have had rings in OKC. There's no way that they shouldn't.
yeah,
So ultimately, I think he's the problem, to be honest with you. He can become sort of a black hole sometimes. in offenses where he tries to do too much or doesn't make the right play. And takes ill-advised shots, and it just I don't know. But then he'll give you a play that like really energizes the team. He'll get a great breakaway dunk, or tip away a ball and really start a play. You just never know what you're gonna get with him at this point in his career. So I don't know. Guards are young and super fast now. It's a bunch of mini Russell Westbrook. A lot of people kind of tailored their game after him as guards, but the mid-range jump shot's not there anymore. It's not consistent enough, and I think his plus minus is on more on the negative end. So we'll see. I think somebody will give him a shot, but it'll be on one of those teams he don't want to be on.
Yeah. I liked him in Denver last year. I think for me it goes more to who. If you come to the Nuggets, you're playing with the best player in the world. And, I think that's where, for me, it was just like, there's a lot of players that come that have never played with a player like Nikola Jokic before. And so I thought there were flashes last year of like, oh, yeah, this is going to work. And like you said, there were times where you're just like, dang, bro, like we didn't need that right now, So I know there was talks of Sacramento maybe trying to pick him up. They just got Dennis Schroeder. They still got DeRozan, Zach LaVine there. Like, I don't know how well that's going to work out if they do decide to sign him. There are a couple of East Coast teams. I know the Detroit Pistons were kind of looking at him a little bit, but
don't throw off that chemistry. That's the thing. He throws off chemistry to me, in my opinion, man.
Yeah,
throws off chemistry. If you look at Denver, like that's a glue team. Everybody, no man is above the team. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody really works together well, and Detroit is putting that together now too, and they're getting like their young confidence. Let them lose another year. Shoot, you know what I'm saying? I think it's going to make them come back tougher. Very much like how OKC just was as well. You know what I'm saying? It makes teams really bond. You'll have too many fans in the locker room when you bring in a guy like that who like these dudes looked up to growing up. It's 22 and 23-year-old guys. Russell Westbrook's closer to my age, about 37 years old. You know what I'm saying? So these guys looked up to him. Let him be somewhere where they need mentorship, not somewhere where they're like entering their prime years. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's tough.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, man. Well, thanks for your input on all that. I agree with you. I agree with you on that. Everything that you said, I'm like, brought some points up I didn't think about. So I appreciate that. Now we're just gonna switch over to you, man. We're gonna get to learn your basketball mindset. All right, and the GOATs, the best era in basketball. So which era to you was the best in basketball?
Well, again, I'm born in '87, and so I grew up on '90s and 2000s basketball. Kevin Johnson was one of my favorite players ever. Quick crossover. I loved Nick Van Exel. Young KG. Those are the years that I really started watching basketball. Watching the Fab Five and college and everything like that as well. And of course, the GOAT. Michael Jordan, those were the years that I really, really started watching basketball. But for me, the best era in basketball ever is early 2000s, man. I was, like I said, I was a huge T-Mac fan. I loved Reggie Miller, Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, Chris Webber, Steve Francis, Allen Iverson, of course, Kobe Bryant, young Shaq. Skinny Shaq when he was, really running the floor still and just, stepping on everybody. Vince Carter was one of my favorite players ever. You had one of the most stacked times in basketball history where you had, shooting guards were shooting guards. You got D Wade. On a given night, you have top 75 players playing against each other every single night. Dirk Nowitzki, Steve Nash, Mike Finley, it was just deep. Everybody was good, and the separation between good and great was inches, really. You know what I mean? On the tail end of that, you got not even tail end because 03 was LeBron and Carmelo and D Wade all coming out at the same time as well. So man, these teams were good. You had Jason Williams, Jason Kidd, Jason Richardson. You got all the Jasons in there. Like the
Yeah.
athleticism was through the roof. The
Yeah.
dunk contest was crazy. You had Desmond Mason coming through.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there was all types of incredible lineups. That were coming out every night, and you had some huge battles, Kings, Lakers. You had the resurgence of Lakers, Celtics towards the end of that. Paul Pierce
Mhm.
was doing his thing. He was really that guy. Yeah, Big Shot Bob.
Right.
Tim Duncan was incredible. I mean, that whole Spurs team, all of them. Tony Parker, one of the best finishing point guards in history. You got
Mhm.
Manu Ginobili coming through with the lefty assassin. He was a left-handed Kobe, man. That's really what he was. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Take
Mhm.
your pick. I'm still
Yeah.
leaving out a whole bunch of people
Yeah.
because those Pacers teams was fire. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
what do you do? Lamar Odom,
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
was crazy. It was really crazy. That era of basketball was very competitive. Guys weren't friends yet. You know what I mean? Like how they are now in basketball, which I really hate.
Yeah.
Everybody was really going at each other's necks and trying to knock each other off. And so
Yeah.
we saw a lot of really competitive basketball, really tough basketball.
Right.
Um, it was an inside out game as well at the time. So you had people that could really shoot. But you bad guys trying to knife into the lane and they're trying to put you on a poster and stuff
Yeah.
like that, man.
Mm.
There was a lot of battles and stuff. Like the game is like super spread out now, but we'll talk
Yeah.
about that later. But
Yeah.
best era in basketball, early 2000s, hands down.
Okay. And man, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. The early 2000s is definitely more slept on, and doesn't get as much credit as it should. I
Mhm.
think everybody looks at the 90s where it says like that was the golden age of basketball, and that's my favorite era. Are the 90s, just because a lot of my favorite players played in that time. But like to your point, the 2000s era, when you really look at it, you're like, man, yeah, it was loaded. You think about um all of the, like you said, all the different matchups. We think about that mid 2000s Phoenix Suns team: Nash, Joe Johnson,
Mark
Mark
Stoudemire,
Stoudemire,
Leandro Barbosa, yeah,
yeah,
Sean
like
Marion.
Sean Marion, yeah, Grant Hill was even on that team for a little bit. Shaq kind of came in toward the end, but that was a team. I just you're right. There were so many teams that potentially could have even been dynasties had not all the other teams been in the league at that time. So it was that now that you say that, I'm like, I might have to switch it up. I might have to agree with you on that, where I'm just like, I'm just infatuated with the 80s and the 90s just because it was more of a physical game at that time. And
Mhm.
you know,
Got a little too crazy at times. Then I was like, we
it
playing
did.
football or basketball? What's
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on?
Or Kareem was out there
Yeah,
Bruce Lee people.
right. Clotheslining people through the lane and stuff. I'm like, hey, calm down now.
Exactly. Yeah, like I said, Kareem he was on that movie with Bruce Lee, so he was like, yeah, I'm gonna stand at the free throw line and still punch you down in the paint because his arms were so long. But it did get kind of wild at that time. But it was just, if you look at every era, it's kind of like, man, there is a best player in each era, which is going to kind of transition into our other one. I already heard you say it, but we're going to kind of get into it a little bit deeper. But the GOAT talk, this has been going on for so long. It's literally been between LeBron and Jordan. But I feel like there's other players that should get more consideration, such as a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And me, this is just me. I don't know why Magic Johnson doesn't get more consideration.
It's not just you. I mean, it's a worthy conversation.
Yeah.
We're talking about GOAT though. There's so many different criteria to
Hmm.
go on, and so it's really gonna always be a polarizing conversation because
Yeah.
is it your favorite player of all time or is it the actual greatest of all time?
Mhm.
And then it's like, who is it the most impactful player of all time?
Right.
All of those things I think combine together to make your GOAT. So there'll never be one definitive person. I think it's understood that Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. I think it's understood that Wayne Gretzky is the greatest hockey player of all time. I think it's understood that Tiger Woods is the greatest golfer of all time. Serena Williams is the greatest tennis player of all time. Like, we understand these things, right?
Right.
But those people, a lot of them would defer to somebody else and say that somebody else actually was. Michael Jordan doesn't have the most rings in history. He's not even, I think he's like maybe third, right?
Yeah,
Because
Robert already has more rings than Michael Jordan. So
Bill Russell got 11.
mhm.
I don't know how many Will Chamberlain got. He's up there too. So
Will only had three, two or
we
three,
only had three.
two or three. Yep, Will
Right.
only had two or
Well,
three.
shoot. I mean, Big Shot Bob got 7. Robert Horry got 7. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So it's not about rings. It can't be about rings, right? So
Mhm.
for me, it becomes like impact, right? And
Right.
for me, if you're talking impact, I'll tell you who the goats are, who could be in the conversation for me, from my perspective. Of course,
Mhm.
Michael Jordan, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar makes a lot more sense to me.
Mhm.
Obviously, LeBron James. Recently, Kobe keeps coming up now, which is crazy because most people didn't have him in their top 5 even until he passed away. And I would
Yeah.
hope that people are not putting him up there because of the tragedy necessarily.
Yeah.
I think we should just stick to facts and stuff like that.
Mhm.
He's not the greatest of all time, in my opinion, though we love him and we love his impact.
Yeah.
Second shooting guard of all time. But there's a lot of guys that can come up in the GOAT conversation. For me, it's productivity,
Mhm.
impact on the game, and impact outside of the game. That
Right.
really matters to me too. And again, this is just my own personal criteria. I think that basketball is a brand, professional, anything, professional sports entertainment. You have to influence outside of whatever that said profession is as well. And I think doing it graciously and gracefully is really important as well. So
Right.
for me, it comes down to two people. Also, I mean, I think Shaq could be in the conversation as well. But
Mhm.
um, I think that LeBron and MJ are the two that make the most sense for that. You're talking about Michael Jordan globalizing the game and making this, an international, worldwide sport.
Yeah.
Where he was on, Nike billboards and the 92 Olympics and stuff like that,
Mhm.
at a time where, like, soccer ruled the world.
Yeah.
And soccer in many ways still does, but basketball is neck and neck. It's one of the fastest growing sports for the last 35 years, and that was largely in part because of his airness. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So that was
Mhm.
huge. And then LeBron James is probably the most famous person in the world right
Yeah.
now.
Mhm.
Him, Taylor Swift, and Beyonce. You know, he's a rock star,
Yeah.
on levels that we had only seen when Michael Jordan was. And I think a big part of that is also because of how he carries himself off the court. I'm not some huge LeBron fan, but he's never been my favorite player ever at any point in
Right.
his entire 22-year career.
Yeah.
But you can't ignore who the guy is. He's a great
Exactly.
human being. He's philanthropic. He takes care of communities, entire communities.
Mhm.
And the way that he affects economics in any place that he sets foot in is also hugely impactful. We don't need to talk about the on the court stuff. We know who he is. He's
Yeah.
one of the best you ever seen touch a basketball. But
Right.
the human being he is, the man that he
Mhm.
is what makes him way bigger than basketball.
Right.
I had the pleasure of being around him quite a few times. I actually used to be on a TV show of his called Survivor's Remorse on Stars.
Mhm.
Um, 10 years ago, and he's a kind human. He's a decisive human. He knows what he wants, and his wife does too. They're real bosses
Mhm.
in every sense of the word, but they're also the kind of people that know every single person's name on set with a 110 person crew. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They're like that. And so
Nice.
that's kind of what separates him from the rest. Being a professional athlete versus just being an athlete are two completely different things. And he really sort of walks in the professional side of it. And so, some of those teams that he's helped take to the finals, the Anderson, Verjaz, Jonas Ilgauskas, Booby Gibson,
Yeah.
teams and stuff like that he took to the finals should have never been there. But the
Right.
dude has big shoulders for a reason, and he shows up. He's clutch. It is what it is. Call him whatever you want, but he
Yeah.
deserved finals MVP while losing in the finals. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, he's that guy. So
Yeah.
greatest of all time. I mean, we've seen some of the scandals and stuff come out about Michael Jordan when it was said and done,
Mhm.
but it doesn't change what he did on the court as well. Again, he goes 6 for 6 in championships, and
Yeah.
You are undoubtedly the best player. You average 35 points per game in your second year in the league.
Mhm.
Perennial MVP, you know, first team all defense, all that stuff. He's
Yeah.
undeniable. So it's MJ for me,
Yeah.
but not to say that other guys didn't help globalize the game and help
Yeah.
impact it and stuff like that. But my personal GOAT, my personal favorite players, I think Tim Duncan should be in the conversation. I think Kevin Garnett should be in the conversation. If Kevin Garnett played today, he would be like a top 2 player in the NBA right now.
Absolutely.
So he ushered in a lot of what the power forwards and stuff are doing in the league right now, with
Right.
being great jump shooters, ball handlers, guard 1 through 5 type stuff. So
Yeah.
you know, everybody's GOAT conversation is a little bit different, but that's mine.
Yeah, man, and everything you said, I'm not even gonna add to it because everything you said is absolutely 100,000% correct. Like I'm not even gonna add to that. But I agree. Michael Jordan's my GOAT. Like you said, 6 for 6, in the championship. Just all the accolades that he, received, is just it happened. And this is when we talk about this GOAT conversation. A lot of people be like, oh well, this would have happened if this would have happened. I'm like, we're not talking about the what ifs. We're talking about what did, And
Right.
so I think, when we talk about these conversations, that definitely needs to be brought up more consistently. It's just like, we're not talking about what could have happened or what should have happened and, all these things. We're talking about what did actually happen, And so that's always going to be part of my mindset when we're talking about GOAT conversations or anything with sports in general. But I know, like I said, we're gonna transition a little bit as we're gonna kind of start to wind up. But when I hit up Ser'Darius, he said he got a lot to talk about. So this segment is called "What's on Your Cranium." So what you got? What you got for me, man? What can we go? What can we rap about real quick?
What's on my cranium? First of all, Luka Doncic to the Lakers. I still can't believe that. I think about it almost every day. What the hell was that? That's the craziest. That's the craziest mess I ever seen in my entire life. I don't know that
Yeah,
I'll ever get over it. Biggest
yeah,
trade in my lifetime, personally. Um, and so I'm excited to see him on his revenge tour. Dude looks great. He's trimmed down. He looked like he ready to dunk on somebody and hopefully play some defense this year. We'll see. I can't believe they did like a 1-1 for him and Anthony Davis. I'm sorry, but Anthony Davis is not on his planet, in my opinion. When Anthony Davis is playing well, yeah, man, he's gonna give you 30 and 10. But
yeah.
when he's playing well, it's such a hit or miss. And then obviously the injury issues has always just plagued him his entire career.
Right.
Love AD, but they ain't on the same planet, bro. Be honest
Yeah,
with you. Good for him. He'll be able to play the 4 with, since he's got Derek Lively and Gafford and everything out there. But you lost Kyrie. Like, they looking like a damn near playing team to me, man. They're gonna be 6-7 seed in the West, in my opinion.
yeah.
What else? The way the game is played today, I hate it, man. I hate to sound like an old head, but Jesus Christ, man, we only 53s a game. Most teams are averaging shooting 53s per game. There's no inside game no more. No mid-range game. You got 3 dudes in the league maybe that shoot mid-range jumpers, and they average 20-something. Get a clue. Let's
Easy.
go back to normal basketball. Who's
Yeah,
going to be the lockdown defenders? Where are they? You don't see them anymore. Everybody runs down, chucks the 3, and they watch each other to see who can outscore each other. Man, basketball's going down. Viewership is down like almost 30%.
yeah,
That's saying something. I'm just going to tell you.
yeah.
What else, man? Kevin Durant, damn, man. I hate to see him go out like this, man. Just kind of ring chasing, hopping around to different teams.
Yeah.
And it's starting to look a little sad. He's not going to get one in Houston. He's not going to be that big of a difference maker. Like I said, Jalen Green was shafted in that. Again, he's 23 years old. It's the first time that this team has actually been good during his entire tenure. He's only been in the league, 4 years? That's tough. I think he should have got another shot. Amen Thompson is the truth. He is the absolute truth. That boy is a dog.
Yes.
And I am sorry, sir. I was not familiar with your game.
Yeah.
Scoot Henderson. Damn, man. Come on. What happened? I thought he was going to be nice, but it's funny because I told a bunch of my friends, I'm doing the eye test right now. He looks like a good guard, but he don't look too much special from anybody else. Give me De'Aaron Fox. And I kept saying that. And who knows? Speaking of De'Aaron Fox, over there with the Spurs now. Hopefully, Wemby bounces back from his injury 100%, and they
Yeah.
can put together a nice little run. De'Aaron, I got the pleasure of meeting him just as he got drafted. Him and actually Karl Anthony Towns. And I knew Swiper the Fox was going to be the one, man. He gave LaMelo Ball 40 twice, and
Yeah.
while he was at UC playing against him at UCLA, and I think that
Lonzo. Yeah.
Lonzo 40 twice. I was like, I
Yeah.
get 40 twice in a week. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
What else? The Knicks. I'm glad they parted with Julius Randle. That didn't make a lot of sense to me. He's a black hole. Don't love his game. Not gonna lie. And I think that Minnesota Timberwolves took a step back, honestly, with that pickup. But that's just me. Ant-Man got to step it up, man. I'm sorry. When it comes to the big moments, he kind of disappears sometimes, man. I'm not on the Ant-Man train like that just yet. I love his personality. I love when he does have good games, and he's an exciting player to watch. But he got to get his ball handling up so he can create better space. Because a big part of his game that is an issue is the ball handling, and him committing late game turnovers and stuff like that. On top of that, 3/4 through the game, exactly the 1-2 dribble that he's going to do for a step back. You gotta mix it up a little bit. I hope he gets with Chris Brickley or somebody who can help him become a better ball handler. LeBron, you're never gonna see nothing like this again. Stop hating on the dude, man. Come on, great family man, great player. Dude still averaging 25 at 40 years old, about to be 41. What do you want from this guy, man? I think he played in the toughest era of basketball. Steph Curry and those teams were buzzsaws. The Tim Duncan Spurs in those years were buzzsaw teams. The Detroit Pistons, he got through them in his early years or whatever. I mean, he's playing some really tough competition. These Nuggets teams are going to go down in history as some of the best teams ever as well. You know what I'm saying? I'm not an apologist. I'm not making no excuses for nobody. But the dude, what more do you want him to do, man? He did everything.
Yeah. Honestly.
What else is on my mind? What else is on my mind? I don't know. I wish Chris Paul got him one, man. He never got one, and that makes me sad. We'll see. Jordan Poole, man. If that whole situation never happened, I think Golden State gets one more. I think they got one more, and then you got the argument of, is Steph generationally better than LeBron in this era? You know what I'm saying? That will become the argument. But unfortunately, Draymond was Draymonding. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. I got a lot, man. I got a lot. I wish Mark Cuban never traded the Dallas Mavericks. I never sold him. I'm mad at him for that. We'll see. I was a big Mavericks fan, over the years when I was coming up. So kind of sad to see that happen, but because I know Mark really loves his players, he loves basketball. You know what I mean? And you can tell that the group that owns them now, I don't know that they're actually basketball fans. So it needs to be seen, but yeah, man, crazy world in the world of basketball.
Man, I agree with you. Yeah, man. Going back to that Luka trade, man, I was asleep. I was knocked out. My boy called me because if something happened, he kind of keep me up on it. He kind of like my insider. And he was like, "Bro, is this real? Like, I think Shams got hacked. Like, did they?"
Right, I thought so too.
Yeah, they were like, "Did they really just trade Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis?" I was like, "Bro, I ain't heard that." Like, because usually I get the ESPN notification. And I was like, I haven't heard that. So, of course, I hopped on Instagram real quick. Sure enough, Bleacher Report, Shams, ESPN, like TMZ, like everybody was like, Yo, Dallas Mavericks just traded Luka Doncic. And I was like, what the heck? Like, I couldn't believe it. Even after it, like 3 days after it, I still couldn't believe it. I'm like, is this real?
Man, we 6 months from it, and I still don't believe it. It's crazy.
Yeah. And to your point, I don't care what anybody says. That is the biggest trade in NBA history.
Kareem's up there too. The Kareem trade too.
That was great. Yeah.
This was different because literally a few months before that, Luka literally took a trash team to the finals. I want to be clear. That is a trash team that he took to the finals.
Yeah, yeah. I
With
mean,
Kyrie
dude
being,
ran through the
Kyrie
West.
being a shell of himself and being his number two, like
Mhm.
that team should not go to the finals.
Shouldn't
You
have.
know?
Like OKC definitely had the team to beat them.
Yes.
Minnesota definitely had the team to beat them.
Yep.
Like I was upset because I was like after Dallas beat OKC, I was like, oh, Denver got this. I'm like, oh, we going back, like I was like, we're going right back. And then of course we lost in game 7 after being up 20 at the beginning of the third quarter. So, that still stings a little bit, Ser'Darius. I'll be honest with you. But, that was the biggest trade in NBA history, like hands down. I know that Kareem to LA, that was huge. But still, I've never seen
And
anything
modern
like that.
basketball for sure.
Yeah.
This is the biggest, craziest thing I ever seen. So now I
Yeah.
hope Luka gets him a ring just to shut down all the haters over there in
Yeah.
Dallas, man. That's
You
it.
know, I like Luca, and I'm rooting for him. Unfortunately, he's with the Lakers, so I can't root for him all the way. But I'm rooting for his success definitely. But,
Yeah.
man, as we wrap up the show today, first of all, man, I appreciate you again coming on. But just let the people know, do you have any, you got any projects coming up, working on anything at the moment?
Yeah, man. Super top secret, so I can't tell y'all that I'm about to start working on Jumanji 3 again in 2 months. But there's that. So we got
Okay.
a third Jumanji coming. It'll be out Christmas of 2026, but we're getting ready to shoot that in October.
Nice.
So I'm really, really excited about that.
Nice.
I'm recurring on a show called Will Trent on ABC Tuesdays, 8, 9 Central. Check that out. Um, right now I'm producing some projects of my own and getting some movies and TV show concepts off the ground myself. And I'm at the phase of my career where I really want to just work with my friends and people that I find to be super talented. And so producing is my thing right now. Um, and yeah, I had a great series come out with Loretta Devine and Dennis Haysbert for Hallmark recently, and as well as uh, one of the top 2 Christmas movies that they had, this past Christmas. So really excited about that. I love working with Hallmark, man. They're God's people, and they really treat people well. And so, onward and upward with them. And then, I got my travel club that you know of, Top Shelf Getaways. We do all inclusive luxury group travel around the world. We have a huge annual activation that we do every year called the Top Shelf Getaways All White Party. It's a 300-person yacht party. We've got Ty Dolla $ign performing live. We've got Will Gittins performing live as well. And then we have one more special guest that you won't know until you get there. So topshelfgetaways.com. And you can come hang with us in LA for 3 days and nights of action-packed fun, great food. It's a real family atmosphere. It's a solo travel club, so people can come by themselves and make new friends. So I'm really, really excited about that as well. But yeah, man, that's what I've been up to.
Okay, and tell us a little bit more about that. Like, what like encouraged you to do Top Shelf Getaways?
Honestly, growing up as a little black kid in Florida, travel wasn't really a thing. It was seen as something that was probably crazy expensive. And as I became an adult, I found out it's more expensive to spend a weekend in LA than it is to go and hang out in Mexico or take a flight to Bali and stuff like that. And so I wanted to create an environment where people of color and the people that look like us could really feel safe in international settings, and I could sort of help show them around and show them a few of my favorite things in each international location. COVID was a big reason I started TSG because people couldn't really go anywhere. And so I sort of created our own little travel group that could all stay together, stay quarantined together. And we had private chefs and drivers and security and hosts and stuff like that. So it was a one-stop shop for everything, and we could go and have fun at different venues and see the sights of the world and stuff. While giving people an opportunity to get out of the house, but we kept everybody COVID tested and everything like that. So it was very, very safe. We took about 700 people out of the country, and no one ever got sick, and nobody ever got COVID or anything like that. And so it continued on after COVID was over, and we kind of created a cool little impromptu travel club family, and it's been really great. To see that grow to over 800 members over the last 5 years. So it's been
Man,
great. Yeah.
that's dope. That's dope for sure. And like I said, man, one day I'm gonna get out there with you, bro. I promise you. You got my word.
Do the podcast with an amazing background. You know what I'm saying? Do it someone exotic and sexy, man. Let's do it. Palm trees, baby. Palm tree.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got you. And then I just got one question. This is for my mother. With your acting career and everything, I'm pretty sure a lot of people want to know, like, oh, how was it working with Kevin Hart? How was it working with The Rock? But there's one particular actor that you worked with that my mom really wants to know how that was, and how was it working with Jim Caviezel? Now, Jim Caviezel is one of my favorite actors. I mean, he's starred in like two movies that have like ultimately like changed my life. One of being, Passion of the Christ, of course, and then also the recent one. Come on, come on, come on, come on. The one talking about sex trafficking. Yeah. Oh,
Which he personally funded part of that movie too.
yeah,
He really
yeah.
wanted to get that message out. Jim Caviezel is a really great guy. He taught me a lot about acting in a short period of time. We worked on that movie for 2.5 months. When the Game Stands Tall.
Yeah.
His process was incredible. He really taught me how to um, professionally act for camera when it comes to like emotional scenes and not sort of giving it all out at once in one performance. Because me, I go hard, and so it's like the scene calls for me crying and blah blah, and I'm gonna cry every single take.
Yeah.
But he was like, "Hey, look, man, the camera's on me. Save the tears, save them for yourself. You know what I mean? You got to reserve that. This is gonna be a really long shoot, and yada yada yada." And especially a lot of my scenes were highly emotional, and so he taught me how to channel my energy and how to incorporate some physicality into my emotional scenes, so I can keep myself energized and stuff like that. He's also a very devout man of God, which I respect a lot. It's rare to see in Hollywood where people are actually out with it, and so it was cool. I grew up in the church my whole life, and my mom is a minister as well, so it was cool getting to have somebody that was on set that was praying with me. And I was like, oh wow, he's praying too. Okay, this is cool. He's very dedicated to his craft. He is a very sort of still waters run deep kind of guy. He's a quiet guy, but he's intense and he's serious about what he does, and he's serious about people and saving souls. And so it was really really cool to work with him. I'm a huge Passion of the Christ fan too. I think it's one of the greatest movies of all time. But Jim Caviezel, he's a real one, man. He's dope. He's different.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I appreciate you asking that. And I'm sure my mom's saying thank you so much for asking for answering that too. But man, today was great, bro. First of all, again, thank you so much for hopping on the show today. And we usually what I used to do this, I do it before, but if it's I'm so glad to have met you first and foremost. Like I know you're a man of God as well, and we yeah, we're trying. Yeah, me too. Trying to be the best man of God we can be. But we were chopping it up before. Got a lot in common. So just keep going, man. Just wanted to encourage you to keep going and keep trusting in the Lord. With all your heart, and everything's gonna be smooth. And you got. I hate to sound like Toy Story, but you got a friend in me, man. Like,
Same, brother. You got a pastor's anointing too. Don't run from it. Just know that it's there, man. You're meant to bring people across that threshold, man. Just FYI. I'm sorry I'm saying it on your live show right now, but you got that, man. The Spirit of God lives inside of you, and I'm really, really, really excited to see everything that's to come for you. And thank you for the encouragement. And this man DMs me all the time. He's like, man, what can I pray for you for? I'm like, man, who is this guy? Thank you. Okay, well, look, my life is falling apart, and I need you to just pray to me. But it's really, really great to see genuine, warm people in the world today, man. The world is waxing colder, and so it's great to see that there are still some people that that are lighthouses. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's a blessing, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thank you for those words, bro. That means a lot. Sometimes, there's times you don't feel seen or you don't feel heard, and so for you to say that, it definitely means a lot for me. And yeah, I appreciate it. That's all I got to say. I appreciate that so much, man.
Of course, brother. Of course, anytime. Thank you for having me on the show, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the Spell Basketball Show. I appreciate all y'all that tuned in today. Again, this is actor Ser'Darius Blain, also founder of Top Shelf Getaways. If you are interested in taking one of those trips, again, he goes all over the world. So, White Party coming up in September. What was the date
September
again?
19th through the 21st. The actual white party, the yacht party is on September 20th, featuring Ty Dolla $ign performing live with another special guest that you
Yes.
really, really, really love. But yes.
Yes. So yeah, if y'all want to go on that trip, go on to topshelfgetaways.com. But we're gonna go ahead and end the show again. So Darius, thank you so much for hopping on the show. I'm looking forward to Jumanji 3. So he's like, yeah, I'm excited for that.
Oh, back to the jungle. Got to get my baby face back.
Yeah, you got to get the baby face back. All right, man. Well, I appreciate everybody today. This is the Spell Basketball Show with Azlan Williams, Ser'Darius Blain with the stats, the facts, and all that. We will catch y'all next time.